I am paging Dr. Chanda.
I am the
Dr. Chanda.
And I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, all things related to the Black culture.
Revolt. The doctor in front of your name.
Hey everybody, you are now tuned in to the Paging Dr. Chanda show. I'm your host, licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Chanda Reynolds, and your favorite psychologist bestie, dubbed the culture psychologist on social media. Here we make psychology real, relatable, practical by engaging in conversation with your favorite celebrities, artists, athletes, mental health professionals, and everyday people. Listen, today's episode is one that every Black woman needs to hear, so I need y'all to listen up. We are talking about prioritizing self-love and breaking up with struggle love. For too long, Black women have been told to hold it down, to stay loyal through the hard times, and build him up, sis, even when it comes at our own expense or at our own peace and well-being. But at what cost? To help us unpack all of this, I have an incredible guest today. America's #1 Christian sexologist. She's going off in the background, y'all. Soon to be Dr. Brittany Broaddus. Brittany is known for her unfiltered faith-based approach in educating women about their bodies, their pleasure, and reclaiming their power. But most importantly, she's here to help us break up the cycle of struggle love and step into relationships rooted in reciprocity, joy, and fulfillment. Listen, without further ado, I want to welcome my sis to the show, soon to be Dr. Brittany Broaddus.
So good. Child tongue-tied. It's always a joy and a pleasure to be here with you. It's like we talk good stuff, we really get into it, but then you my trip. So it's like catching up with a good friend. So It's a joy. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You know we be cutting up.
It's a mess.
But
I'm trying to behave myself. In this,
don't do that. Don't behave yourself. We need all of Brittany. We need your whole personality, everything.
What? She said it, so I apologize in advance. Actually, I don't apologize in advance.
Period.
I stopped apologizing a long time ago.
Hello.
I'm definitely that friend that you gotta first of all, let me know that I'm on speakerphone. If you don't, that's your fault. And I let the people know I'm coming. I really had a time where I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I know I'm a lot. If I'm a lot, I'm about to say something else. That's all right.
But Black women need to stop apologizing for being
for existing.
For existing.
That's what it is. Like even the quantifying of a lot a little bit.
Yeah.
For just exist, I am just being me. You have a problem, take it up with Jesus. Take it up with the Lord.
Come on.
Okay? Because he knitted me before I was formed in my mother's womb. He knew me. He knit me together. So this came with it. January 14, 1988. It came like this.
And happy belated birthday.
Child, I'm grown, honey. 37. Am I auntie?
No, but you look great. It's the skin for me.
Shout out to Lisa. Rest in peace, mommy. But am I auntie?
I think we have entered the stage into auntie, but we define aunties. Like I'm fine with being the fine auntie.
I'm okay with that. But then, because when I think about it, like I'm an aunt to somebody. Like, do younger people, do they look up to me?
Yeah. They call me auntie on TikTok. I don't care. I will be the cute auntie.
Okay. I still want to be girlfriend. Hey, girlfriend. So don't be putting. I went to a school recently. It was like Miss. Like,
wait till they call you ma'am.
No, I don't like it.
It's giving ma'am.
I don't like it.
But listen, Brittany, I am so excited to have you here. I want to hop into this first segment. So we do Hot Off the Press, which is our segment where we focus on pop culture and things that's relatable to today's topic. Yeah. So specifically with today's Hot Off the Press segment, there was a post that was going pretty viral, and it was by Black Cosmo News. And the headline stated, the strongest couples are the ones who struggle and emerged stronger in relationships. So this was specifically about Kirk and Rashida Frost. And if anybody knows about Kirk and Rashida from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, they are like the poster child for this statement. So Brittany, I wanna ask you, because this was like literally going viral. Yeah. I wonder, is this narrative true? Like, do we have to struggle in order to have a strong relationship?
Help us, Holy Ghost. Have to is the word that I, no pun intended, struggle with in this conversation. and not to take it to the word, but
Yeah.
there's this idea that struggle is required versus common or typical or expected. But to suggest that we have to struggle before we reach this, pinnacle of love and things like that, there's taking the choice away from it. A lot of the things that we know and experience or see in social media or TV are decisions. Like, I'm making a choice, conscious choice, sometimes, perpetuated by childhood traumas and this and the other thing, but I am in sound mind and body making a decision to be in this relationship. I'm making a decision to deal with this. And that separates the difference between, grace and forgiveness and being flawed humans and all of that. But some of the stuff, particularly the couple that is the topic of the conversation, Kirk and Rashida, she loves it. She has to.
She has to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't, struggle up for me, it feels like, I hate that terminology, but there's a temporariness to, like, innately, like, struggle temporarily so that you can get to this next level. And, like, I think we conflate that with the idea of, building together. We conflate that with the idea of fulfilling your potential or reaching your potential and things like that.
Yeah.
That's different from, I am not going to love you well until you've earned the right for me to love you the right way. Or if you want me, then you have to deal with my maturation process and whatever comes with that, and your investment in me growing up and maturing, and that's men or women alike, should prove itself to make dividends in a positive way, and then you'll get all that you ever wanted.
Yeah.
But after a while, when they've been together decades at this point, we're fully potentied. Kirk has reached where he's going to go. No shade at it. It's
the truth, though.
We've been having this conversation since we were introduced to them, and I'm certain they were having this conversation before they got in front of the camera. Okay, so at that point, with all of this time invested, we have children together, we have businesses together. I, a mother, thought that Rashida likely made the decision, like, I'm not starting over. And so, to answer your question, I don't think that it is necessary. I think it is actually a quite toxic mindset to teach Black women. Really, Black women are socialized to believe that you have to struggle in order to reach love. But if we look at that, that's not germane to love and relationships. Black women, Black people are taught that you have to struggle in order to get what you want. Like, what do they tell us? You have to work twice as hard for half as much. Right?
Yeah.
And so you're already telling, like, you can get to where you want to go, but the toil that you're going to have to go through along the way is just germane. So it becomes, we've taken what is typical and have accepted it as normal, but that's not normal. Pain is not normal. Hurt is not normal. We live in a fallen world. And so what maybe just because it's common, just because it occurs regularly, does not mean we have to resign to that being our lot in life. And that's unfortunately what I think has happened. We have resigned to that's what it is, because we see that relationship, we see all they go through, we see the extramarital affairs, we see the external kids, but we also see the glitz and the glam, and she's on TV and making a lot of money. I also would like to say that I don't often try to speak on married folk business. I think that they've made a lot of money from struggle.
That. Yes.
And so
we incentivize it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that she's well aware of all that is going on, and I'm going to make my money. You're going to do what you're going to do. You've already shown me who you are. I'm believing you, and I'm going to profit off of it. So
she cooking already. Well, Rashida, if you're watching, Brittany says she will offer you a free session if you're in need.
Absolutely.
Listen, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know where we go. Once you establish your goals, because if you are comfortable, you don't even got to come see me. If you're comfortable with that, if that's your man,
I love it. Yeah.
Because at this point, it's given open relationship. And if that is your business, that's your business. I think that there's also this universal understanding or perceived universal understanding of relational norms in public marriages, because we understand, okay, they're married and there's expectation that X, Y, and Z should not happen.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to feel like it's X, Y, and Z should not get caught. So do what you're gonna do, but don't embarrass me.
Right.
I think that I'm like, because there's a collective thought a lot of people hold that all men cheat. And the thought, and that whole, like, as long as he come home, like that's, we heard that back in the day in the 90s, like, you know.
As long as he paying the bills.
You may have had him once, but I got him all the time.
Right.
This is crazy.
Toxic.
Right. Excuse me. But monogamy is not a belief that everybody holds. And ethical non-monogamy is an actual thing. And I think a lot of times we put monogamous expectations and boundaries on couples that don't hold that. It's unfortunate that in social media, as it's growing and technology is getting bigger, people can't, the men and God can't, or not the men and God, the people can't cheat in peace anymore. Yeah. They have to cheat on live, and it's gonna go viral.
Yeah. And going back to what we were saying, like platforms like Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, like they thrive on that.
Correct.
They thrive on like our pain, our trauma,
and we need a
our dysfunction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need a storyline.
Yeah.
We need Black women to be at odds with one another. We need secrecy. And it's so many stories have come out of, like, you know, producers or folks in the back kind of like stoking the flames before they, like, oh, so-and-so said X, Y, Z about you.
Are you going to ask them about X, Y, Z?
Right.
Yeah.
And then people feel like, for my livelihood is now attached to this drama. Yeah. So if, like, I can imagine, and not put any words in her mouth, but I can imagine Rashida had a thought like, if we divorce, what is that going to mean for my place in this very lucrative show? Yeah. Right? And it's difficult to watch, especially for their popularity, because then it's shown that this is what we are. As much as we love to say that Black people aren't a monolith, unfortunately, it feels like our success and our popularity is monolithic in what's presented. And
it all can be traced back to colonization. But look,
white
I know
supremacy.
Basically, yes. Well, you know, Brittany, one thing that I love about you, like, you are a strong advocate for Black women. Even hearing you talk about Rashida, like, it sounds like you're telling the truth and also protecting her and doing it in a way that's very gentle. Yeah. I see you brought my girl Ronnie. I call her Ronnie.
Yes.
This is Veronica.
That's her nickname. Veronica the Vulva.
Veronica the Vulva.
Say hey, girl. Hey, y'all.
Okay, so Brittany, why is it important for you to educate Black women on our bodies and things of that nature?
It's important for me, first and foremost, because I think that's one of the things, that's where we first started being robbed of joy and our ability, as we were talking about earlier, in just existing. Yeah. Right? We've been policed from as early as our first breath, even in the way the medical complex, you know, grades and regulates and dictates and diagnoses our bodies, our procedures and things like that. We are being discarded and disregarded, right? And so for me, being able to teach a Black woman or a young Black girl about her body, the appropriate medically accurate terminology for the body, for me, it's pushing back against that erasure, it's pushing back against that shame, and it's promoting autonomy and agency. Period. And those are the things that has been taken from us and told that we don't deserve from the very beginning. The Black woman's body, the gynecology was literally built on Black women's bodies, right? There's, in this day and age, there's still people who believe that Black women feel pain differently or less than other folks. We struggle to get diagnoses of skin conditions because the way that doctors are taught are on skin that doesn't look like ours. So you can add weeks, days, or months, and sometimes even years to diagnoses because of what they think and feel the proverbial they, the society thinks and feels about us. So for me, if I can have a Black woman learn her body, speak up for herself, go into a doctor's office and say, hey, this is not my typical flow. This is not a thing that works for me. This pain that I'm feeling because of these fibroids is not normal. I'm not feeling good, and not having to be tossed aside with some Tylenol and and sent home. Yeah. If they can speak up there, and they will also speak up in the bedroom. They'll also speak up in the relationship. They'll also speak up in in the boardroom. Now, granted, even speaking up, as we know, will still be met with some type of aversion and dissension. But that doesn't mean we still don't do it.
Yeah.
And even if just at home in the mirror, you can look at yourself and say, she's a bad man, whichever. You feel better about yourself, right? And I just, my heart to see Black women live in joy and exist in joy is the reason why I do all that I do. And Veronica is one of the ways, which I did, exist in joy. That was good. You like
it was. That's your next t-shirt.
Oh, I choose joy. Yes, exist in joy, absolutely.
So what's your reaction or the reactions of women when you're doing these sessions and you pulling out your puppet?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I first got Veronica, her birthday was a couple days ago.
Happy birthday, girl.
She's getting old. Veronica is 9 now.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a crazy yes. So when I first pulled out, people were like, it would be like, like, wasn't sure, like they couldn't tell. Like first they thought it was a purse, then they thought it was a pillow, and like, is that and I'm like, yes, girl, because then, I put my hands in to get her to start talking and stuff. They're like, oh my God. So it was just like a shock value type of thing, and not much aversion, just really like shock. And then people began to engage with her, and as I traveled more with her, it was a while when I was traveling a lot, like I would make sure I got pictures with the pilot and Veronica. So that was really, and she had like her own social media pages, and people were like, in my coaching clients, like people would request to see her. People would say, oh, they would book me and be like, make sure Veronica comes too. So people really embraced her, and I think it was because they were interested in the lesson, but she like helped them to let down their guard. Yeah. Like, right. So I didn't want to kick in the door waving the 4-4. It's like, your vulva is this. Yeah. So if I pull out the puppet, just like with kids, like you can teach like people when they're having fun, they're more inclined to want to learn. But as of lately, and as I've added more models to like my teaching and things like that, like I have a 3D printed vulva in which you can like take the front of it off so that you can see where the clitoris sits inside of the body. And that actually looks like a living, breathing, like you open somebody's legs and it's right there. Okay. And then that's the one that people are like, okay, hold on, Holiday. What is this? But I think that, and I think it comes down to the fact that people are much better equipped or more able to suspend disbelief to engage with the puppet. But then when we get into like a medical model, then it's just like now that wall comes, comes back up. So by introducing her and getting them all on board and we're having fun and they're pointing out the parts, now I'll bring out the one that actually looks more realistic and say, okay, now do the same thing. And so it's been that was her name, Vicky. Vicky, Vicky's an acquired taste for some people.
But you're an advocate though for not just Ronnie, but also women in general, just kind of like, holding a mirror and just getting to know your body.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I recommend to anybody I talk to, all of my clients, at least once a month, once in between, after every menstrual cycle, just get you a little hand mirror and, open up, say hello. Okay. And however you want to, Meg said, put one leg on the headboard, look the other leg out, look at however whatever your flexible capacities say, show, one leg up on the toilet seat, in the shower, whatever, just laying back on the bed, throw them both back behind your head, however, whatever works. But just get your hand mirror and just look so that you could just become familiar with what's happening down there. What does it look like? What's the positioning of certain things? Like especially a lot of the work that I do is with Christian women who aren't having sex, and clitoral atrophy is a thing. Like it's kind of rare, but still very possible. Okay. And so you're not going to be able to notice if you're experiencing any atrophy if you're never looking at it. And unfortunately, a lot of us who come from those conservative religions who hold abstinence as a value believe that they don't need to engage with their body in that way unless they're getting ready to offer it over to their spouse. And so that goes back to the beginning of why I do what I do with Black women never being in a place of feeling like their body is their own. And I even had someone once tell me that, I'll just wait and my husband to show me what's down there.
But where's the autonomy?
The agency, and that there's no ownership.
Right.
And by when we do that, when you don't feel any ownership in yourself, you don't have any agency, you're more readily susceptible to disregard and abuse, because you don't feel any sense of self or worth or value when someone else treats you as if you don't have any worth or value. You can be like, oh, okay, yeah, that tracks, right? And so just by looking, you don't have to, if you're not comfortable right away, you don't have to like touch yourself. And I think it's important to understand the difference between like self-pleasure and exploration. Like we're moving, our labia, pulling back the hood just to, number one, for circulation, to fight against atrophy, but also just make sure you're not seeing any discoloration, that you're not seeing any, if the labias are hanging a little bit lower, or things are, shifting, or, things like that. I had an experience, I had weight loss surgery in 2016, and I lost over 100 pounds. And prior to that, I had never been, focused on looking at my vulva. I couldn't quite reach it, actually, because, I was built for it tough. I couldn't.
Stop?
I'm just saying, I couldn't get down there. But after I had lost weight and I got, a little bit more of my flexibility back, I was like, hey, what's going on down there? And I was like, what's going on down there? I was so concerned. Like, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money on copays going back and forth to the doctor, like, hey, what's happening? And my doctor, who I love, black woman, was like, girl, it's skin. She was like, when you know how when you lose weight and stuff move and shift and hang everywhere? She was like, did you think that your vulva was going to be any different? And like what I was really, I thought I was like, I had like growth and this and that. It was just a hymenal tag. Like the hymen went away, like it, separated as it does. And it was just like the skin just hanging out there. And I was like, but I was so shocked and so scared and so afraid. And oh my God, and I never did anything. And I promise I didn't cheat on you. Like my husband was like, girl.
But that's why it's important to like be an advocate for studying our bodies and like being familiar with it, even outside of the bedroom, like when you're engaging in intimacy or whatever.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that's the key part that you said, outside of the bedroom, because unfortunately we spend a lot of time connecting our bodies to sex. When we think about our bodies, we think about our genitals, we think about nudity, we only really have that conversation in relation to sexual expression. But bodies aren't inherently sexual. We are sexual beings as humans, but bodies aren't inherently sexual. Nudity isn't inherently sexual. You looking at your, your vulva and make sure everybody is where it's supposed to be isn't inherently sexual, but because we do that, then the shame and the guilt that is attached to sexual expression comes right along with it, which means guilt and shame travels along with us in just our everyday body image. Like it's people who in the house by themselves won't walk around the house naked. In your own house.
In your own
where
house.
You pay the bills. In this economy.
Right.
Girl, and it's so disheartening, and I say it in jest and lighthearted, but also to just really highlight the ridiculousness of it. But it's so heartbreaking because that's how far into this ridiculousness that we go, because we are so cloaked in shame. Even when this like sexual revolution that's going on is still controlled by shame in my regards, because you are still trying to tell the person that is controlling you can't tell me what to do, but by pushing back against their narrative, they're still in control.
Okay.
Because you're not doing it because you want to. You're doing it to prove
for your
something.
own liberation.
Correct.
It's more so.
You're doing it to prove something.
Okay.
And so when we talk about the male gaze versus the female gaze, but whatever, we're still missing that. There's still a narrative. When you are trying to fight a narrative, the narrative is controlling you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know we are in the month of love. It's February. So I have a question for you, and this is probably going to wrap, and then we'll go into talking about your game.
Okay.
But when we talk about self-love and prioritizing ourselves in relationships, what does that look like for Black women, and why is it so important? So
it's important. I would argue it's important for everybody to prioritizing yourself, but I think that for Black women, again, is what we've been talking about. We aren't allowed to do that. We aren't given permission to do that. We aren't socialized to do that. We don't really have many examples to do that, and when we do, it is framed as rebellion, right? Like we talked a while ago about like Black love as rebellious because of the way in which the systems are set up against us. And so I think
revolutionary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I think if Black women can get to the place where they do get to exist or give themselves first and foremost permission to exist in joy and recognize that their permission that they give themselves is the only permission that matters, then it would lend itself to healthier relationships. I think that this collective identity crisis that we have as a society keeps the struggle of going, keeps us at, this, war, black men on black women war and relationships that we have, and who can get, what can we get from one another. And as long as I come out on top, I don't care who loses type of situation.
Yeah.
It's coming from a place of hurt. Like we want to guard our hearts, but now we got barbed wire fences around it, and we're not, which is promoting this transactional type of relationship. And so I think that prioritizing yourself is vital, because when you do that, you establish your worth internally first. And so that way you're more inclined to have that as an expectation when you get into interpersonal relationship. And then you're comfortable laying relationships down or leaving relationships on the table that do not honor your self-worth. And you're not like, because a lot of times we're like, if I'm not with this person, what I'm gonna have? I'd rather be upset or angry or sad, but with somebody than lonely. You know what I'm saying? Loneliness will have us making very poor,
detrimental,
very poor decisions. But Tyler Perry, he said I can do bad all by myself.
I don't want no Tyler Perry love.
I don't know who originated that, but we can do bad. Like, in this life you will have tribulations. That's Bible. Okay, it's already hard. Okay, and the next 4 years finna be harder. So let me tell you what I'm not finna do. As add-on additional, I'm not about to sign up to be hurt and pain and disregard.
I will not volunteer for that.
I don't care. I don't care how much you make. I don't care what you buy. If Saks Fifth Avenue mean I got to be sad and crying and snotting, Walmart, no, can't even do that.
Right.
Sheen me, please.
Seriously, because I think we need to reestablish what that means. So I know we could do this all day. All day, right? But we definitely gonna have to have you back.
Yes.
Before we go though, I want to hop into these daring discussions, because not only is Daring Discussions a podcast, but you have a whole card game.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, tell us about these.
Yes. So Daring Discussions are the first. Daring Discussions are the first sex and relationships cards created specifically for Christians. And the original deck, Sex Talk That Doesn't Have to Lead to the Bedroom, was created for Christian singles.
Okay.
A lot of times Christian singles are kept out of the conversation of sex because they're not supposed to be having it.
Yes, correct.
But then that means we get into marriages behind the 8 ball, and then Christian marriages begin to suffer, because even though people are having sex, nobody really knows what they're doing. Nobody really knows what's going on, because we're taught what sex is, but we're not really taught how to have sex. And again, that word permission, not really given permission to have a standard or a boundary because we're, abstinent.
Yeah.
So that's what this first deck was created for, to kind of create a place where we can have those conversations in a way that doesn't have to lead to sin. Because if I have an orgasm and then I got to repent afterwards, it's ruined. So why am I? Let's not do that.
I can see that. Okay.
Let's not do that. But we still need to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And then the second edition, Daring Discussions Undefiled, Sex Talk That Will Bless Your Bedroom, is again, I created these for the people who've done it right, but still feel like they're doing something wrong. And again, we don't have the necessary conversations, ego get involved, and then a lot of women are performative in the bedroom. So they get to hooping and howling and carrying on, oh my God, insurance is so this and so that. And you're not really enjoying it, but you want to protect your husband's ego and all of that. Or the husband is like, he has a wife who's so dutiful and he never tells him no. And yes, he'll finish and it's fine, but nobody wants compliance sex. They'll take it. They'll go along for the tell, but nobody wants it, right? So these card deck is so that we can really have a real conversation, egos aside, to say, how can we create a culture of sexual excellence in here? How do we have the bedroom that we run to, right? Not we avoid. Because I don't know, I ain't never avoid. I mean, I'm holding on to the Lord's unchanging hand.
Come on, somebody.
So my orgasms are set aside for a second. But when I was married, I wasn't running from no orgasm. Because what? That's like running from money. Is everybody okay? But there's happened where sex is not happening in Christian marriages. And so the question is, do you not like sex or you not like the sex you're having? And so that's what this deck is.
Okay, so this is just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Every time you come, I find myself always like blushing. And it's like when you things that you be saying, it's real, it's relatable.
You
it's
told me
needed.
don't behave myself, so
don't
this is
behave yourself. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. This is what the people need.
So we're gonna do some test questions. Which one?
Oh my God. I was gonna ask you because you always be trying to ask me these questions.
Absolutely.
On camera.
Absolutely. I feel like we should do the undefiled. Just see.
Jeez.
Well, you know what? This is what I'll do. I'll do the undefiled one so you'll have an idea of the type of question, but then you can answer one of these because Unless you got a husband you ain't telling me about.
It's okay. No.
Okay. Now you can answer this question.
Oh, Lord.
When do you feel?
Don't get me canceled.
When do you feel sexiest?
When do I feel sexiest? I will say when like bare face, no lashes, no extra hair.
Hair tie chilling with no makeup
right,
on.
and I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I'm still a baddie.
Okay, deal. Okay, a deal. Face card, never decline. That's and you know what that says, and what the key part to sexiness is confidence.
Yeah.
You feel sexy because you feel like you didn't put nothing on. There's no additive. You're not doing anything for anybody else's gaze. This is Chanda. Through and through, and that's good.
I love that.
Okay.
Nope, that was it. That was it. Where can we buy these cards?
We can buy this card at www.theintimacyfirm.com.
Theintimacyfirm.com.
Yes, they're available on there, and then you can just select whichever option you want, undefiled or the OG original, and they'll get right out to you. And if you, when was the episode be out?
I'm not even sure.
It's fine. We'll get it to you right away. It's priority shipping. Priority shipping. And because we love the Paging Dr. Chanda fam, I will put a 10% discount code.
Okay.
So use the coupon code PAGING.
I love that.
You can't forget that, right?
So make sure that y'all check out her cards, use the code PAGING, and you will be able to have these hopefully before Valentine's Day. Yes, we will try to air this before Valentine's Day. So listen, Brittany, it's always a pleasure having you here, sis. Where can the people follow you?
Theintimacyfirm.com is my website, and I'm at The Intimacy Firm on all other socials. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and my YouTube, where during discussions, the podcast it can be found, is The Christian Sexologist.
Period. Awesome. And are you still taking clients?
I am.
Okay.
I am. Yes.
All right. So make sure y'all sign up for her coaching, her intimacy coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much needed.
The Naked and Unashamed program is where it's the program to help build sexual confidence as a Christian woman, but it's also a version available for couples who need to, we missing something. We need to, cook it up.
Period. Okay. Well, listen, I always enjoy sitting down with an intellectual who can spit facts, statistics, and quote Meg Thee Stallion all in one sentence.
Okay. And
that is a gift.
And give up a praise.
Come on, Holy Ghost feel.
Hey, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Don't start because then I'm going to carry on. Come on, we got
But no, thank y'all for watching another episode of Paging Dr. Chanda. I'm your host, Dr. Chanda. This was my guest, Brittany, soon to be Dr. Brittany. Make sure that y'all follow her on all platforms. And don't forget, y'all, you have the power to create the emotions that you want to experience. God bless.
The doctor in front of your name.